for people who have been researching, like they were like you said you spent 3 years trying to get into real estate investing before the mobile home investing thing popped up, right? So they might be in research mode and they hear about all these different strategies and ways by which you can invest in real estate. Why should they consider mobile home investing?
Great question. So for one, low entry costs, right? We tell people you can start as low as $5,000, low risk, right? When you're doing an investment from, let's say it's $20,000, right? But move-in ready $20,000. That's much different than getting a rehab at 60, putting another 50 into it. You're dealing with more money. Also, it's less strenuous, right? You're not really dealing. You can get a realtor, but you don't really have to. You're not really dealing with, the state of Illinois doesn't require inspections. A lot of states don't really require inspections of the mobile homes. And not saying that you should, sell a lemon, but at the same time, you don't have to pay for a $400, $500 inspection, appraisals, all that added stuff that comes along with houses. You're not dealing with it. Mobile home is considered in most states a motor vehicle, right? Or personal property. So with those stipulations, you don't have as much responsibility with those.
Gotcha. So what do you say to people who say, they're investing in mobile homes, but it's not actually investing in the land, right? Like I'm assuming that you guys, the way that you're making your money is off of rent. Is it still called rent for mobile?
Flow.
Okay. For mobile homes, is it still called rent when people rent them out, right? Okay. So talk about your process behind that, saying, I think that we can enter into the mobile homes and not necessarily physically buy a building, but you're buying a motor vehicle, as you mentioned, right? So talk about your game plan and why did you guys choose that route?
Right. So when we first got started, of course, we're in mobile home communities. So we're owning the homes, right? So kind of like what you just described, but not owning the land. So when we first started out, we focused on flipping the homes. And then, of course, now we also do rent to own cash flow. But for our first deal, we purchased a home for $3,700. We ended up flipping that home for $9,500 in less than 30 days. Okay, so that home was move-in ready. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We didn't have to do any rehab for our first home. Now, again, we always get the question, like, how did you guys find this? It was a lot of heavy prospecting involved with that first deal and also some negotiation. But it worked out, and again, we flipped that home. So now we ended up flipping it, again, still paying the lot rent to the park because the park still owns the land, but we just went ahead and made the profit off of the home.
Yeah. And then similar to when you look at like the renting phase, we look at most cars, when you go get a new car, you're going to have a term of anywhere from 3 to 6 years, right? Similar, we do the same thing with our seller finance. So, instead of tell people, listen, you've been renting an apartment, you don't have any equity in this. But if you get on this term from 3 to 5 years for this house, it's going to be yours. And a lot of times we educate people. So for example, like a house, we got a house before right at $1,500, right? And we were only taking $400 a month, but we put them on a 3-year term for $400 a month. So it's still affordable housing because the lot rent at that particular park was right at $350. So they're paying $750 a month. We're cash flowing right that $400, but at the end of that term, they get to have their house. We pretty much quadrupled our money, but it's still affordable housing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you throw numbers out there like we got a spot for 1,500. We got a spot for 35 and turned it into 9,000. Okay. All right. Everybody's listening now, guys. How do you go shopping for a mobile home? And how do you determine what's a good price to pay for a mobile home? Is it similar to physical structures where you go and you look at comps? You can see how many buildings in that area sold in the last 6 months. And, you can kind of figure out what's a fair number. You consider, rehab costs. Do you apply that same mindset to mobile homes when you're prospecting? And how do you come up with your number?
All right, great question. So one of the biggest things we tell people, most of our deals come from literally driving for dollars. So we're in the parks looking for sale signs. We're going into the office, talking to a park manager. Hey, what do you have? Introducing ourselves, let them know what service we can provide by helping them to occupy homes. And so with that, that's what a lot of online resources, Craigslist, a lot of different apps like Let Go and things like that you can go on. But the biggest thing is getting out there in the field. When it comes to comps, like you said, like traditional houses, the only thing you can compare is to the houses in the neighborhood. So the knowledge that we're learning from park managers, hey, are you guys getting cash buyers or are you guys getting people that need payments? And that can help us gauge, are we going to do a flip or are we going to try to do payments? So my biggest thing is for us, we stand at the price range under the $5,000. Like, I don't care if it's a 2019, I'm not paying $40,000 for a mobile home because I'm finding 1991s for $3,000, $3,000. So I'm like, yo, like, as long as we can keep finding these, we're gonna stay under this price range. And so with that being said, like when it comes to comps, normally what we do is if we get a house, if I buy a house at 3,000, I'm gonna list it for a 10, right? And I'm gonna see, and because at the end of the day, if I get somebody to purchase for 7, it's still a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. So let's go back a little bit because I think that your story, both of your story, it's so phenomenal and how you guys actually got started. So I don't want to skip over that. So you were driving. At this point, you lost your job and you were driving, wasn't Uber, it was
Lyft.
Okay. So you were driving Lyft and you heard this podcast, you sent it to your wife. Your wife did what she always does, what the woman always does. We get it done. She went home, was like, we're doing this. You all did that, right? So talk about the process from now losing your job, driving, and now owning a mobile home. So walk us through that process. What did you all do? Did you all find a realtor? Like, did you all do all of this yourselves? What did you invest in to learn the knowledge? What did you guys do to actually get your first deal?
Yeah, so really, I love that you say let's back up to the story part because I don't think I said that I had lost my job as well around time. Right. So we both had lost our job. And I also, look, I call myself the app girl because at that point I was doing Lyft, Amazon Flex, Instacart, any app that you can log into your phone and make money, I was doing that because I was already in a mindset knowing that I didn't necessarily want to go back to a sit down 9-to-5 job. I'm like, look, I'd rather hustle these apps until this mobile home thing just cooks up. So that's what I did. Byron, he had that same mentality. And yeah, when we first dug into the mobile home thing, like we didn't get a realtor. Like honestly, this was all us. This was us getting out in the field, researching, finding other potential investors who have done some deals and just really like learning from the school of hard knocks, like just really getting out there and just seeing it for ourselves.
Yeah, because it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much information out there at the time. A few YouTube videos, and it told about a little how, but you had to invest in that program to learn more, and we didn't, right? And I would say that our biggest break where we learned a lot of information. So when we first started, like we were cold calling parks. Sharnice had called at least like 175 parks. I called about 100, and we got so many no's, right? And the vice president of a company, which is it was the 5th largest mobile home park company in the country, right? We're $14 billion. The VP called Sharnice and said, "Hey, you've been calling my parks. What's going on?" And Sharnice told him like, "Hey, look, we knew to this and everything." So he said, "Okay, cool. You know what? If you guys ever out in Denver, we would love to meet you guys, and we kind of like what you're doing. You got access to most of our parks." We
immediately booked that trip. Like, we got to get out there. I'm like, if he gonna give us access, I'm like, come on, man, we got to get out there. So yeah, so we sat out there, we sat down, and even in that meeting within itself, like he gave us so much game and just so much like salute for us, even like starting this, being African American as well, coming into a niche where you don't see a lot of people who look like us. He even was like, man, you guys are doing the right thing.
Wow. I have so many questions. Wow. First off, that's incredible. I love that. Talk about favor, right? So I love that. So I have another question. How do these parks work? I'm assuming that they're sort of like condos in a sense, right? Where not all condo units allow you to rent out, right, their particular unit. So how does the whole park, how does that work?
Yeah, so really, we always say you're looking for an investor-friendly park. Now, it's over 44,000 mobile home parks in the United States, right? In Illinois alone, we're right over we're 1198 right now. So 1,198 mobile home parks in Illinois. So right now, institutionally owned 4,000. right? 4,000. So 10% of these parks are owned. So now all these parks are still, we call them mom and pop parks, right? They're still owned. They've been in the family since the 50s, the 60s. And so it really depends. Most of the institutional parks, they don't mind. They like investors because for us, we help them sell homes, right? They're park manager. They don't have to sell homes or anything like that. So they lick their chops when we come in, like, yes, come. So the older mom and pop parks, they're more the ones who are going to give you more pushback because they want to keep all the margins. For them, they look at it like, why should I sell you this home when I can turn around and make the same amount of money on the home? So that's when you get a lot of that pushback from, some of those parks. But again, when you get like Sharnice now, we only do business in 2 parks now, and it keeps us fully occupied.